All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Kickoff event. After a brief technical glitch, we were forced to start the Kickoff 10 minutes later. So if you're just joining us, welcome. We're just starting. You've made it right in time. We were just talking about what NoCode Weekend is and what makes it special, but we're ready to start things off. Thank you so much for joining us this weekend. It takes a lot of motivation to be interested in building and launching a project over a weekend when you could be doing so many other things. So congratulations on taking your first step. I will have to be made to the host if I am to share the screen. And yes, there we go. All right. Hi, everyone, and this is the NoCode Weekend 3 kickoff. We are beginning the weekend event as of this moment. In the next few slides, I'm going to give you a brief idea on what NoCode Weekend is, why it was started, and what you can expect from this weekend. To start off with, just wanted to let you know that this event is basically a live event as opposed to an asynchronous one. The previous event that we had in February was asynchronous, which meant that you could build and submit the projects according to your time zones, 9 p.m. Sunday, your time zone. This is not going to be like that. As you know, there is a schedule, there is a timeline, there is a countdown that's officially begun just now. So you are required to submit your projects before that countdown. What is NoCode Weekend? NoCode Weekend is a NoCode exclusive hackathon. For those of you who have never attended a hackathon, hackathons are basically competitions where you challenge yourself to build and launch a project under a tight deadline. In this case, you will be launching a NoCode project in under 48 hours. That is what NoCode Weekends are all about. You're going to come up with an idea for a project. You're going to build out that project. You're going to pitch that project to your friends and supporters. And you're also going to launch that project before the weekend is up. That is the goal of the NoCode Weekend. That is going to be your personal goal as a builder at NoCode Weekend 3 as well. In the previous events, the previous editions of NoCode Weekend events, we've helped hundreds of builders launch their NoCode projects, winning immensely successful events because everyone's so excited to build and ship a project under tight deadlines. And that is something that acts as a catalyst, as an accelerator of sorts for those of you who have ideas, but for whatever reason haven't really challenged yourself to build it under a tight deadline. And as you know, Parkinson's law applies to time. Work expands to fit in available time. So if you challenge yourself to launch an MVP of your project in just 48 hours, you will and can make it happen. So what do we do at NoCode Weekends? I'm sure that you've all checked this out on the website already. The first thing is you come up with an idea, come up with what you're going to build as an MVP. The second thing is you're going to build it out in the timeline available to you under the deadlines that you're forced to build it under. After that, in today's event, what's going to happen is if you submit it within the 36-hour deadline, you might be selected as a finalist. If you are selected as a finalist, you will be invited to demo day, where you'll be pitching your projects before the panel of judges and the public. And finally, you will be launching your project for the world to see. Whether you're selected as a finalist or not, your project will be live by the end of this weekend. Why should you choose NoCode? Of course, all of us love NoCode, but for those of you who are just beginners, building with NoCode is affordable, accelerated, and accessible in a way that building with code isn't. If you're going to learn to code, of course, it's going to take more time and effort in learning the syntax, learning the code itself before you can begin to build. But NoCode actually eliminates that block of work and time so that you can just start ideating and building. What you can expect from this weekend session are, number one, you have a workshop. If you're a beginner to NoCode and you have no idea where to begin, you do have an introductory workshop, which I'm leading right after this session, where you can build and launch an app in just an hour. We also have interviews with judges, Colleen and Glenn, where you will have a chance to meet them, say hi, ask them questions, and also be inspired by their journey in the NoCode space, learning all about their projects, previous work, and of course, their current projects that you might be able to check out after this weekend session. Of course, we have the final event, which is the demo day, where a select number of finalists will pitch their projects before the judges, and we will be learning about who the winners are from that demo day. For those of you who have not checked out the schedule, now the Luma link actually redirects you to a Notion worksheet. So that is the main link. So I think if you could please drop that link in the chat. Of course, that link will be sent to you on email. It is still available on the Luma event, but for those of you who need it, it will be shared on the chat here. So I think you do have to include the HTTP in the link so that it becomes clickable. But yes, that is the link that you can copy paste on your browser. The Notion document that I'm talking about has all the links that you need for the weekend's events. One of them is the schedule. Let me just take you through the schedule. We had the AMA session yesterday on Twitter Spaces. This is the kickoff that's happening right now. After the kickoff, as I mentioned, you do have this build your app in an hour for beginners that I am leading, where you will learn to build and launch a software app in just an hour. We have an event with Glenn and Colleen, as I mentioned. All of these timings are in London time, but if you click on the time here, you will be able to open the timing in your time zone. The next deadline, the next event is on Sunday, 3:30 p.m. London time, which is the first deadline in order to be eligible for the demo day. After you submit in an hour, we have the finalist announcement on Twitter Spaces. So if you're not already active on Twitter, please be active by following us, the NoCode Weekend event, where we will announce the finalists there. And then after an hour of that, we have the demo day, which will be a Zoom session just like this one, where everyone will be invited to witness the presentations by the finalists. Now, of course, if you are not available for whatever reason during the first deadline and you need a little more time, you have 12 hours after the deadline, after the first deadline, to finish your project and still qualify as a NoCode Weekend project. You still have perks in order, so if you actually finish your project by this deadline, right? So this is what you can expect from this weekend. As I mentioned, all of these links, if you click on this link, you can add all of these sessions to your calendar in just one go. So all of these links are available on the Notion page that Sahiti has just shared on the chat. The workshops will be recorded. All of these events are not compulsory for you to attend. If you can't attend it, the recordings will be available. As long as you submit your projects by the end of this deadline or this deadline, you will be eligible as a NoCode Weekend finalist or a NoCode Weekend project. You don't have to attend all of these. All of these sessions are really to help you and offer you a little more support as you build. But if you think it's not something that you can attend because of time zone clashes or other events, no problem. We also have a support room. The support room link has been shared on the same Notion doc that I was telling you about, where you can find the link to the schedule and everything. This is a support room where you can join. It's a Gather Town link, where if you're stuck with a build and you need help with some of the stuff that you're building, you have troubleshooting questions that you need a human to help you with, we actually have humans to help you from the team. So this is the Gather room. There's an FAQs on the right. if you go on the left, you can work it out amongst your peers. But if you need troubleshooting, one member from our team, Akshay, will be there on the topmost room. You can actually enter that room, ask him questions, he'll help you figure it out. In the interest of fairness, however, everyone gets 20 minutes to ask him questions, figure it out, and move on to their build, right? So we actually have a support room. It's not just Akshay, a bunch of us from the team will be available. If you just want to take a break and you want to be available to help other people in the no-code space, feel free to drop by. We do have a limit of 25 members on the support room. So if you feel that the room has been filled up, you've exceeded the capacity, you can always drop by a little later. In the meantime, if you need help, of course, we're available on Twitter, right? So this is just an added support feature that we've added this time around, and I hope that everyone can make use of this. Next, really proud to announce the judges for this weekend. We have Colleen and we have Glenn. Colleen's actually been kind enough to join the kickoff session now. She's actually on the audience right now. Glenn was not able to join because it's ridiculously early for them. I'm in London right now. That's not a problem. We do have a session with him in just a few hours. But Colleen and Glenn will be the judges who will select the finalists after the first deadline and also judge the best builds at the demo day. A few guidelines for the finalists. Now, if you submit your project by the end of the 36-hour deadline, you will be eligible to be considered as a finalist, like I mentioned. If you are a finalist, you get about an hour to prep for the finals. What can you expect as a finalist? You will get 3 minutes to present your project. This time limit will be enforced strictly this time around. We weren't strict about it last time. This time around, we are very strict because we don't want other people's time availability to be affected. You will get exactly 3 minutes, after which you're going to wrap up the speech. One of our team members is actually going to cut off your microphone, so we are going to enforce it strictly. 3 minutes, out of which you can talk about your project for 2 minutes, and you can demo your project build for 1 minute on the screen, right? So you do have to show your project on the screen for 1 minute, so you'll get about 2 minutes to talk about your project. And you also have a presentation template that you can follow. Very simple presentation, 4 to 5 slides where you can briefly outline what you did during the weekend. The presentation template is linked on that Notion document. It is also linked on the project submission form. So when you're submitting the project, you will also have to submit the presentation. Just 4 to 5 simple slides, so it's not too much of your time. But you will have to submit this when you're submitting your project. So if you are selected as a finalist, you already have your presentation ready. All you have to do is practice your pitch for 3 minutes, right? So this is about it. Some main guidelines for participants and finalists that I wanted to cover. And this is the evaluation criteria. We've shared this on Twitter and the community already, but creativity and uniqueness, usefulness and execution, all of these will be judged out of 20 points. The most important mark for the weekend is, of course, the progress that you were able to make in the couple of days that you get. So that is adjudicated out of 40 points. Out of all these criteria, you're judged on a 100-point scale. If you have an X factor, the judges are also going to give you extra points. So this, to be as transparent as possible, this is the evaluation criteria for your no-code weekend build. This is how you'll be evaluated on the first deadline and the demo day as well. Next, everyone's excited to know what the prizes are. We've talked about this before. We actually have a first to submit recognition. So if you're the first builder to submit the project at No-Code Weekend 3, you will receive special recognition. So you are incentivized to submit your project before the deadline. Don't wait until the last minute. We do have the main prizes for the top 3 winners at Demo Day. We also have 2 honorable mentions at Demo Day as well. So what prizes are they going to be? Just to remind you, there is a prize for the first builder to submit the project. And the prizes are being sponsored by our partners. Our main partner for today's event is TypeDream. Thank you so much to Michelle and their team for jumping on. We also have Fueler, which is a proof of work platform where you can host and proudly display all of your achievements in non-traditional fields such as NoCode. So do check it out. Also, we have a tweet thread that's going on right now on Twitter, where people are encouraged to share their workspaces on where they're joining from. We already have a bunch of submissions, really interesting faces, people joining us from all around the world. You are encouraged to share your workspace or just wherever you're working from as well on that thread. So Saiti, if you could please drop that link on the chat. Of course, we have that link on the Notion page, but for those of you who want it right now, you can get it on the chat as well. If you have any questions, I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes. Please unmute yourself and feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can begin the weekend and get started with building. Any questions, any help that you need, any lingering doubts in your mind before you start building, please let us know. Thank you so much for sharing all of those links. Saiti, the last link that she shared is the Twitter thread that I'm talking about. So any questions before we begin? Again, the main Notion document that I was telling you about is going to be emailed to you. It's available on Luma. We'll share it on Twitter as well. All the links that you need, all the links that I talked to you about today, right now are available on that Notion document. Any tools that you recommend to build no-code apps on? So we covered this in the Ask Me Anything session yesterday. The thing is that you can use any no-code tools as long as it's a no-code tool or a stack of no-code tools. Previous edition winners actually have used even Bubble. You can imagine Bubble is actually really hard to get right in just a weekend. People have actually used Bubble. But apart from Bubble, most famous tools at no-code weekends have been Softer and Glide. So both of those are really popular tools as well. And I think Softer is a highly recommended one. Really depends on what your end goal is. It could be a Notion template, and that is being sold on maybe Gumroad, and you have a landing page on Card. So that's a possible stack. But if you're just starting and you want to learn how to use Softer, I do have an introductory workshop that's going to start right after this session, like I mentioned. And Gokul, absolutely. Gokul is actually a winner at both of our editions previously. He's built some amazing apps that you should definitely check out. Softer and Glide have actually had some amazing updates lately, as Colleen just pointed out. You should check both of those tools out. Glide, really easy because they have a Google Sheets integration, so you don't even have to learn Airtable, but Softer looks much better overall. Colleen, do you want to give the participants a couple of tips before they get started?
Sure. So, Vince, you talked a little bit about, this being kind of a time pressured event. And I have found that I learn a lot during time pressured events, things that I don't think I would have thought about or considered. So don't think of the time as a negative, think of it as a positive. And I would just say, if you get stuck at any point with anything, just keep going, reach out for help. There's a lot of different avenues to help, both within, this weekend or also on Twitter, just the no-code space in general, and make sure you submit. So there's going to be some highs and lows as you go through this weekend. There's going to be points where you're going to have your list and you're going to be going through everything, and then you're going to get stuck, and don't let getting stuck stop you from finishing the weekend. Just ask for help, take a walk, take a quick break, but then get back to it. And then when it comes time to pitching and all that, the time goes by fast. The time during the weekend is going to go by fast, and the pitching. So pay attention to time, and especially if you're someone that loses track of time easily, because the time will go by fast. So, and most importantly, have fun.
That's really great advice. Absolutely true that the weekend's gonna pass in the blink of an eye. Honestly, as you start building, it's not going to be enough time. So you do have to be mindful of your goals, be realistic about what you want to achieve. Maybe set like top 2 to 3 goals. That's all. You make sure that you make progress towards that. And as Colleen mentioned, the most important thing is to have fun, because as long as you love what you're doing, what you're building, that will supercharge your learning. And that really is the goal of the NoCode event, NoCode weekend events. One other question is about the idea directory. We have actually shared many ideas on the community. So I think if you could share the link to the club here, that would be great. We've also shared ideas on Twitter as well. Of course, if you follow the conversation on Twitter, there are a few threads where ideas have been posted. And I think that's about it. If you have any more questions, feel free to hop by on the support room that I shared. Hit us up on Twitter. We're available on Twitter DMs. And that's it. So let's kick this off. With this, I declare the 3rd NoCode weekend commenced. Let the building begin. I will see you soon on the other side. Join us for the other events that will start right after this session in an hour or so. We will be active on Twitter. Please check your emails if you have any questions. We will have a running thread of all the events that are happening. Of course, all of these recordings will be provided to you after the events are done. Thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to stick around for a few more minutes as we wrap this kickoff event. If you have any questions, we will be here for a few more minutes. And if there's nothing else, then you can start building. Let me show you the Notion document that I kept talking about. The link to the Notion document I'm sharing again in the chat. Let me share my screen and show you what that document looks like. This is the single source of truth for all the events at NoCode weekend number 3. This is the time left for you until the deadline, the first deadline. Any event that's happening, the link will be provided here. If you click here, you can add all the events with the links to your calendar with just one click. All the links to the schedule are here. Rules are here. Q&A, link to the support room. This is the link to the support room. If you're ready to submit your project, this is the submission form. Evaluation criteria, judges, a big hello from them, and the guidelines to the finalists. So all the information that you need is in this Notion document. We will update it as we go, but this is the main link that you need for this weekend's events. Hope that is clear. I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for your time and patience as we had to pivot to another Zoom link. But thank you for giving us your weekend, and I hope that you find this weekend really helpful, and we will see you on the other side. See you. Bye, everyone.